Well, we are 5:02, so we're going to get started because our pizza starts at 5:45 still tonight. We have our last confirmation, so I know I welcomed you to pizza tonight if you wanted, but many of you will just go home and have your night at home because you don't have Pathfinders. Thank you so much for coming. My name's Kirsten, and I work with the youth grades 7 through 12 in college. Sabrina and I are trying to do some more intersecting, so in future years, I hopefully will get to know some of those younger grades a little better than I see you at pizza, but that's about it. But I was saying earlier, it's a little mind-blowing this time of year, not only that the school year's ending, but you are coming in as 7th graders, because I've known you for 9 years now, and let's see, that puts you at like your 3? Oh, man. Yeah, so it's if you've been here most of your life, I've known you since you were itty bitty. But it's a privilege every single year to think about the new 7th grade class coming into confirmation. It's an exciting time. First off, I wanted to see what sort of things you know about confirmation. If you have an older sibling, you've maybe heard some of this, but we're going to go back, first of all, to what do you know about baptism? Like, if you have seen a baptism here at Light of Christ, what are some things that you've noticed? And there's no wrong answers here, and this is a challenge by choice. So if you don't want to talk, you don't have to. But anybody's willing to share an observation? We had one just on Sunday. Okay, well, let me ask you this. Was the person that got baptized, even if you weren't here, you can take a guess at it, were they a little person or a big person? Itty bitty bitty, even smaller than when I first know you at 3, right? So those itty bitty babies we often baptize in the Lutheran Church, do they choose God's love when they're itty bitty bitty bitty? What do? They eat, they sleep, they poop and burp, and sleep some more. They cry a lot, sometimes. I have a good friend who just had a baby at 42, her first, and I went and met him just earlier this week. And when I held him, he's not even a week old. His name is Croy Andrew. I held him, and he just looked up at me. He couldn't, like you can see just a little ways from their face, right? And they can't even see further out. And these little infants can't do anything to make a decision for themselves, right? That's why we need adults in our lives to care for us. So the reason in the Lutheran Church that we baptize those little bitty babies most often, now we have some confirmation kids that are going to be getting baptized this summer, but most often when we baptize those little bitty babies, it's because it's a statement about our faith. It means that there's nothing that little bitty baby can do to earn or deserve God's love, right? They are just surviving by the will of their parents taking care of them. And they don't choose, but we baptize them at that age because it means that it's all about what God is doing and not about what we're doing. The parents are bringing them to be baptized with some sponsors, and they bring them when they're little before they can choose, because if it were up to me to make the right choice, even at this age, a lot of times I'm going to mess it up. A lot of times I'm going to make a mistake, and sometimes we call that sin, and yet sometimes it's just stupid behavior, right? Like, we just don't make good choices sometimes, and I know that God still loves me anyway. Now, that doesn't mean that I get to make as many bad choices as I want and just abuse God's love, right, and just go do anything. And I will be forgiven if it's in my heart and but it's really about the fact that God shows up for me before I can do anything to earn it or deserve it. So that's why we take that little bitty baby to the font with the water and the scripture. So the water is the physical element that makes baptism a sacrament in the Lutheran Church. We have 2 of them. We practice them on Sundays. The baptism is one. What's the other one that we do every single Sunday? With 2 elements. Communion. Thanks, Vienna. So that has bread and wine. Baptism has water. Communion has bread and wine. And those are the physical elements, the things you can touch, taste, smell, feel. that are a part of those two sacraments, and they were commanded in Scripture. That's why in the Lutheran Church, those are the two sacraments we have. If you have friends who are Catholic, they have 7. And so they have different sacraments than we do. Baptism and communion are 2 of them, but then they have 5 more. But those 2 are the ones that we celebrate as our 2 sacraments in the Lutheran Church. And so we baptize any age, but most often little, because it is not a decision that child is making. They're not saying, I want to be baptized. They can't say that. They can't talk yet, right? But we give them that gift of grace, the mystery of baptism, that love before they can do anything to earn it or deserve it. And the parents step up and bring that child before they can do anything, because we know that God loves us that much, that God gave us God's Son to die for our sins, right? And that wasn't anything that we chose either. So then what happens, let's go fast forward 12 years, right? And now you're at this age, and let me precurse this. If any of you in here are not baptized, don't feel bad or shame about that. Like I said, there are confirmation kids that are getting baptized in their confirmation years. It is okay to do confirmation before you're baptized. There are kids that will do confirmation and not get confirmed. They'll choose not to. In fact, I have a 9th grader right now that's making that choice. Confirmation is your choice. Baptism wasn't your choice if you were baptized when you were a baby because your parents brought you, and now this is where you are choosing and you are saying, I believe, and I want to continue my faith with God. I want to continue on this faith journey. And so as much as parents encourage and bring their kids and they always say, confirmation is the time that people come out of the woodwork, right? It can happen, and that's great. We want them here. But this is truly your choice for confirmation. Now, if you get to the end of 3 years of confirmation and you say, I'm just not ready to be confirmed yet, that's okay. There's no magical time. We do 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, and then confirm in the sophomore year. But that doesn't mean that's the only way to do it, right? There are kids that will choose to wait because they're wrestling with something and they're struggling with maybe something in faith, and then they choose to get confirmed at a later time. We've confirmed seniors in high school here before. We truly want it to be something that is in your heart when you are ready to say, I want to continue on this journey. Now, I will say there's not a single kid that gets confirmed here that says, I have all the answers and I'm ready to be confirmed because I've got it all figured out and I'm so sure of everything. I'm 100% on my faith journey. Nothing's going to set me back, right? Every single confirmation student gets confirmed while having questions and doubts about their faith. That is normal. Any single one of these adults in here, if they are truly honest with you, will say, I have doubts and questions about my faith. It's a lot to think about, and it's a lot to consider and learn and grow about, right? That's why we wait until this age, because you can ask some darn good questions. And that is one of the biggest pieces of our confirmation ministry, is allowing students your age to say, what about this? Why does God do that? Or why, maybe God isn't doing that, and we just see something in the world and we confuse it with God, and you wonder about a lot of stuff, right? That's what confirmation's really about, because if we can encourage a life of curiosity and willingness to ask questions and ability to show up and feel like it's okay to have those doubts and questions and know that you can still have a really close, good relationship with God, that God doesn't struggle with our questions, right? I believe that God grows closer with us when we ask questions. If you have a conversation with your parents and you ask them questions, that brings you closer, right? That's sort of like God. I mean, if you never talk to your parents and never ask them questions or never explore tough things with them, you're probably not going to have a very close relationship with them. And that's the same with God. So that is a key component that we do in confirmation, is really encourage you to ask tough questions, because we want you to be exploring your faith like that. So this is not about, if you've seen a cookie cutter before, you've made your Christmas cookies, this is not about a cookie cutter faith. This is not about taking you and saying, you're going to look exactly like this heart-shaped cookie, second heart-shaped cookie, third one. Nope. You might be a snowflake, you're going to be a duck, you might be a heart, you might be a Santa Claus hat. Every single cookie looks a little bit different, and that's what faith is supposed to be like. You are unique. You each have a faith that is unique, like your fingerprint, right? And that is special, and that is just the way it's supposed to be. God created you, beloved, and God doesn't make any crap. You are perfect just the way you are. Now, do we try to always do better and be better? Sure. But there's nothing about you that's wrong, right? Okay, so that's my little soapbox about confirmation to help you understand kind of what we're doing and why we're here. Can I get the two of you to volunteer and come hand these out for me? So walk around and make sure every family gets one of these. And if you're online, I will email these to you. So just, you can head over to this side. And I'm going to have you go over there, Eddie. So we're going to quickly look through this, and then I have a sheet for you to give me some information about who you are and what you like and what questions you might have, and then we're going to get you on the road. Oh, even back here. Did you run out already? Let's do one per family. Yes, that's probably what I made. So thank you. Appreciate it. I'll give you this one for now. Perfect. Thank you, Aaron. Paul. Let's see. Addie. You got one? Okay. You can if you want. Thank you so much. Anybody else want one? Now we have extras. They're there if you'd like it. Okay, so what do we get to do at confirmation? Being made more like Jesus so that we can love and serve like Jesus did. Confirmation is saying yes to God by worshiping, loving, growing in faith, serving others who said yes to us in our baptism. It's not a graduation, right? When those kids get confirmed, they are not putting on a cap and they're not putting on the gown because they're graduating. It is just a next step in their faith. Typically 7th or 9th grade. The one change that we're making right now that the current 9th graders, I know you've got an older sibling, I don't know if there are any others, but the 9th graders right now are getting confirmed this fall. So starting June 10th, you are going to hear 10th grade faith statements again, even though they haven't started their 10th grade confirmation year yet. We are switching Confirmation Sunday from April. It's always been the Sunday after Easter to the Fall Reformation Sunday. So that is a brand new thing that's starting this fall. So I encourage you to come on the Wednesdays and Sundays when the 10th graders are sharing their faith statements, because it's a really cool time to not only hear them share their faith, but also support them. So those are coming up. And then 10th through 12th graders are invited to come back as junior guides on Wednesday nights. They help with the confirmation groups and work with the adults. So a couple things, key components of confirmation: faith, friends, and fun, lots of food. We want you to be involved. If you aren't here, then we can't, it's hard. The cool thing is we do live stream our large groups. So if you ever miss a Wednesday night, it's up to you to watch it at home. You've got, you're sick, you got a sporting thing, whatever, you can watch it at home with a loving person in your house and have some conversation. And you often aren't going to have like the discussion sheet or anything like that. The guides get those, but you can always watch it and have conversations at home. So 7th and 8th grade, that is one way that you will kind of be on your own honor, right? The more that you put into it, the more you get out of it. Any of the things that we require of you, like worship notes, service hours, those sorts of things, you keep track of on your own. So we used to do all of the tracking. Now we have 75 kids in confirmation, about 25 per grade. That's a lot of kids to keep track of their worship notes and service hours. So what we ask is that you find ways to serve and places to worship. Sometimes it's online, sometimes it's at Grandpa and Grandma's church in the summer. Anytime you are at worship, you can do a worship note in one of two ways. You can take one of the worship notes with. There's that youth corner back there. If you would like to keep some of those in your car and you do worship around the campfire when you're camping, and great, fabulous. You can use one of those worship notes. The other option is that you have a family discussion. There's a green half sheet that is a family worship note, and you can fill that out and use that to track your worship notes also. All that means is that you, after a worship service, are having a conversation with a loving adult. It could even be a grandparent, right? And you are talking about something from worship, and you are having a faith conversation about something question that you had in that worship, or some things you noticed. Maybe it was something you went to a Catholic church and you smelled some incense. How was that different from worshiping in a Lutheran church? Like, there really is no right or wrong here, right? You are allowed to worship wherever it may be, like I said, even online, and then you keep track of those worship notes. If you do a family worship note, you can just write those right on your tracking sheet, which you will get at orientation in the fall. If you do a worship note here, you turn them in here, and then Pastor Tim, believe it or not, and Pastor Bruce did this before him, will take every single one of your worship notes, and whatever questions you put on there, he does a handwritten response to you to your questions. Sometimes they are a page long. Not joking. So if you want to stump the pastor, here's your chance. But you will turn those in, and then you'll get them back on Wednesday nights, and then you get to see the pastor's response to your questions. So it's really cool. This is a thing that, like I said, we really value, because I don't know about any of you adults, parents, when you were in confirmation, was this a component of your confirmation experience? I see some no shaking heads. I grew up with a dad as a pastor, and we had conversations in my house, and I would like to say that we had some questions maybe at church, but really church was about providing the answers and not wondering about things. It wasn't about asking questions. It was more about being told this is how it is. Very different from now. And there's still a lot of things that we may have like answers for, right? The things that we believe strongly about, but we still invite you to wonder about those things and ask questions about them, right? There isn't anything that is a bad question, right? There are foundations in our belief that we will talk about, and we are going to teach, and we are going to talk about God's nature and different things. For me, one of the non-disputables is that God is love. Like, I don't care who you are, you couldn't ever convince me any other way that God, in whoever the God's being, right? Like, who God is loving. And that was demonstrated through Jesus, right? That God loved us so much that we were given that gift of grace and forgiveness. But there's other foundational things that you might believe, and that's what you're going to be working on for your faith statement when you're confirmed in 3 years. So, worship notes. Service hours, we do 15 worship notes a year. That's not a magic number. It was just a way to say, and now there's 52 weeks a year. We worship every Sunday. We have 6 Sundays in Lent. We have Holy Week, Monday, Thursday, Good Friday. There's a whole lot more than 15 worship services a year, right? So 15 is a pretty small number in terms of like a yearly. It's just something that we encourage more than once a month, that we hope that you'll be worshiping regularly. The 12 service hours is really, we picked that because it's about 1 hour a month. So what we find is that students that do 24 hours in 1 year and all of their worship notes, because you could do 45 worship notes in 1 year, right? Those are often students that are living a life of worship and service. And we are not saying you have to do 12 a year. We're saying that we want you to, and it's good to spread it out, but we also know that most likely if you're doing 24 service hours in 1 year or more, right, like you are most likely going to continue to live that life of service all through confirmation, and you're not doing it just to check the boxes. But you're filling up your sheet because it's kind of fun to do that, right? But you're also like, it's a lifestyle choice, and it's a family choice, right? So there's no right or wrong here. You might have a year where you only get 5 worship notes done, and maybe you came some other times. And there are seasons. So we will walk with you. We don't not confirm any student because they don't turn in their completed thing with all the boxes checked, because that's not what this is about. We have students that will start in 9th grade, and they've maybe done something prior. There are families that have situations, right? We walk with every family. We meet with kids one-on-one before they're confirmed, and there's a lot of grace, and you're literally going to get out of it what you put into it. If you come to worship more often, your life is going to be enriched by that. We truly believe that, because you'll get to worship with this community, grow in relationships more, hear the great sermons and questions and all these things, right? So that's why we want you to do it. Typical Wednesday night is 6:15 to 8. We'll start often with large group and then have small group. So it's not all that different from Pathfinders, except that you'll have a specific small group and you'll get to put a couple friend requests down tonight. Slice still happens for confirmation, and another thing that we do is called Family Matters, 2 speakers a year where we bring in outside speakers where parents come with you and hear a topic, and then you have some conversation about something. Service nights are like, we will actually have some built into Wednesday nights, so we'll go to Feed My Starving Children. We might have like tonight we're doing our tie blankets for our graduates, things like that. And then you might also have some nights where you have small group fellowship with just your confirmation small group. So I'm not going to talk anymore about the worship notes and service hours. I'm going to let you take this home and read that. Just make sure you kind of understand. The reason I share this now, we started doing this a few years ago, is because you can actually, anytime after today, you can start doing your worship notes. You won't get them back until the fall, but if you would like to, when you are here for worship, like I said, they're back in that corner. You can grab one and you can start filling those out. Now, another thing to say about that is it's a full sheet, and we put a lot of different parts on there. We never expect anybody to, it's not like homework where in order to get 100% you have to fill the whole thing out. This is really a chance for you to reflect about something in worship. Maybe that day you have a question. Maybe that day you're really into drawing while you are listening to something that's happening. That is not meant to be an end-all be-all, right? You fill out parts of it, you have a conversation with somebody, you turn that in, and you're not going to not get credit if there's a Sunday when you put just 2 of the things completed, right? So we want you to just be engaged in talking with people, talking with some adults about faith in your life. So any questions about worship notes or service hours? Does that all kind of make sense? You can do service on your own. You'll do service here through church. There's a lot of great opportunities. If you want to help with Vacation Bible School this summer, right, Sabrina? Yes, please. Those dates are on there. It's on the second page, July 12th through the 15th. If you want to help with a small group, crew at at VBS, we'd love to have that. Talk to Sabrina tonight. We do the food distribution the second Monday of each month. You could help at Love Inc., the food shelf. If you wanted to rake a neighbor's lawn, as long as you are not getting paid for it or getting credit through like Girl Scouts or a sport or something like that, you're doing it. It is, you're doing it to serve for confirmation, then that can fit in your service time. So, does that make sense? We do have the fall retreat already scheduled, which the interesting thing is this is the same weekend as our confirmation Sunday, so I'm still figuring out how this is going to work. But it is their WAPO has this fall retreat every single year for confirmation age youth, so we will go as a large group. I will not be there on Sunday because I will be back here for the 9th graders getting confirmed. Might be bringing some other family members back with me, we'll see. But I will make sure that there are adults there that will finish up the Sunday morning. It'll go Friday night to Sunday, and it's a really wonderful weekend. It is sort of an expectation of confirmation, but we don't necessarily require this because we understand that there are different levels of comfort with going off to camp, right? So we are going to strongly encourage you to go to the fall retreat. We know schedules are busy. Try to put this on and protect it if you can. I will say, even with nerves about this, if you get your child to come, we are going to do everything in our power to make sure it's a good experience. Now, I can't promise things, but I have had, in 26 years of ministry, maybe 2 kids that have had a not-so-great experience at camp, and I'm talking hundreds of youth, right? So I can almost promise that your child will go to camp and have so much fun that they will be begging to go back in a future fall or summer. It is that amazing of an experience. What we can do here on a Wednesday night at 90 minutes it pales in comparison to what a confirmation retreat is, because we step outside of our normal comfort zone, we get off site. So really try to make that a priority if you can. If you have any nerves about that, please talk with me, because I know that there are some real, very, very, very real anxieties. I will tell you, from starting ministry back in 2000 and working with parents in my 20s, We have become a little bit more, I always said helicopter. Pastor Tim has I haven't heard the snowplow term until Pastor Tim and I work together, but we really try to make sure that there's nothing bad that will happen for our children. We will plow the way and make sure that there's no bad things that happen. And as Dory in Finding Nemo would say, well, if you don't let anything happen to them, nothing will ever happen to them. Like, they are going to be safe, and if there is anything, quote unquote, bad that happens at camp, we are going to work through it, right? And it is a great, safe place to have that first time away from home if you haven't. So I know many of you love camp, have been out to WAPO already, but I just really encourage you to take that step of faith and talk with us if there's any, tough feelings about that. I forgot to take off the new one, number 5. We even talked about that, Pastor Tim. So confirmation during Lent. We just started this last year that we are doing mentoring for 8th and 9th grade, but you as 7th graders, it's our 3rd year, you will be our 3rd class that's doing a cross project. So you can start thinking about this already, even what kind of medium you would like to use, whether it's wood or metal or lots of different options, right? But you will get to create a cross that demonstrates some important things from your faith, and we'll talk about that more later, but it's something to think about. Then parents, we really, really cannot do this experience without you. I will tell you that those that choose to step up as guides tend to come back 3 years in a row because it is such a rewarding experience. We have a lot of fun. It's a great way to have a kind of parallel experience with your child and know what's going on, and but not have to be so directly involved. You can be working with their small group or a different, I don't think Laura would care. Laura Yannick said, I want to be a guide, but I don't want to do it for my kids, so I'm going to do it the year between my kids. And she's a 9th grade guide right now. She has a 7th grader and a sophomore. And so, or 8th grader and a sophomore. Anything is possible. Talk with me. It really is an incredible team of people. It becomes kind of its own small group. The adults get to know each other well and have a lot of fun too. We tried to have the same confirmation guides all 3 years, but that doesn't always happen. I have a guide that helped last year with a 7th grade group and was not able to help this year as an 8th grade guide. We make it work, but I would love to have you partner with us if that's something that you're interested in. And it is not the thing I love about it is that I'm not apologizing about the amount of time that it takes by saying this. It's not a huge commitment in the sense that we make it in a way that you can show up to confirmation and help lead and be a part of it without a ton of prep. Now, could you do a ton of prep if you wanted? Sure. I'm guessing none of you are twiddling your thumbs looking for extra things to do. But you can walk in the door at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday and be a very, very influential confirmation guide and get a lot out of it. So now you also do not need to be here every single Wednesday. We try to get at least 3 guides with every group so that there can be 2 here. And even if we only get 2 with a group, we'll get a sub if we need to. But we always make sure that there are 2 adults with every group. It's a policy with our kids that anytime we are meeting with youth that we have 2 adults in their group. So talk to me if you're at all thinking about that. Otherwise, I will be calling you. Because you all have gifts to lead in that area. So I would love to get to know you better and have you as a guide. So,
kids, if your parents would be great for this, put the pressure on.
Yeah. You know the best way? If you say, I want you to be my confirmation guide, they'll melt and they'll be like, oh, you do? Really? I'll be there. Yeah. Or I want you to be a confirmation guide and you can be a guide in another group. You can tell them that too. Registration will be online coming this summer, and then I will send you a Google Calendar link that if you use that medium, that you can just have it show up in your calendar. There's some contact information for us. You know how to get a hold of us and how to find things online. I very admittedly am not a social media person. I have Facebook and Instagram, but I am a maybe once a month or type of a person with social media. Katie does more of our social media stuff, but it's still a way to find some things. I would say our website is 100% we keep that as up to date as possible. So look there. We are less of a social media church, I would say, and more of a website church for information. Okay, that was a lot of stuff in a short amount of time, and I've talked a ton. So what are you most excited about for confirmation? Yeah. The fun, yes, we do come here to have a lot of fun, because if we're not going to have fun, it's not about, you're sitting and listening to me talk a lot right now, but that's not what it's like every week. What else? Do you like Slice when you come? Be fun to come, keep getting, and this way you get to come early and have pizza and then stay. It's not at the end anymore. Well, I'd love to hear later if there are, the retreat is one of the highlights. It is, and if you are still interested possibly in going to WAPO this summer, that is an option. They do have weeks available. So if you're not signed up and you'd like to check it out, invite a friend and sign up for a camp week. Any other thoughts? I bet you're excited to tell me who you want in your group. That's what this yellow sheet is. Can I have my volunteers again? Since you're on the end. You were so good the first time. Okay, so this is, now you actually need a fruit basket upset. I need you to go sit by the adult that you came with. And I'm going to ask that you take a pen, and you're going to work on this yellow sheet together. I would love for you to leave it with me here today, if you can. If you are not able to stay and you need to head out now, this is an okay time to do that. But I would love to get these sheets before you leave, because then you'll have it finished. Oh, there are pens in the pews, too. Just make sure you put them back. That's always I get worried that the pens walk off. So if you'd rather use one of these, that's great. Oh, yes, Sabrina has something. She wants the mic.
Oh, yes, I want the mic. Okay, before anybody leaves, I feel, yes and no. I didn't get that talk last time because I started coming in August, so that's true. I'd like to hear it for once. I feel really good handing off the Pathfinders to go into confirmation with Kirsten, and I'm super excited for you all. But also, I know I've only known you for a year now, but some of them are really sad. But I wanted to give you all a hedgehog, and a hedgehog looks like a silly present, right? But the hedgehog is not just cute. The hedgehog is a small animal, but he is brave and he is strong and he's protected by his quills. And everything that protects him, he takes with him. And so all the lessons that you've learned in Pathfinders, all the songs, all the time, the friendships, the love that you have learned in Pathfinders will protect you and carry you on into a confirmation where you start with your faith journey a little bit deeper and you ask deeper questions, and you will grow, but you will still be my protected little hedgehog. So just a thank you, and yes, have fun in confirmation.
You'll see him on Wednesday still. Oh, that's so sweet. Evan, here's your hedgehog. Ready? You get the one that I grabbed. So sweet. Can we all thank Sabrina for all the Pathfinder goodness that she did? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. We'll miss you too, but we'll get to see you on Wednesdays still. It is a weird thing to grow up. I don't know. Pass you off. Her little hedgehogs. So on this yellow sheet, you are sharing whatever you would like to share with Pastor Tim and I. This is not for anybody's eyes but ours. We do ask that you put your name on this, otherwise we won't know who it is that's requesting friends. But if there's something that you would like to do anonymous, you can do that, but we also don't know how to respond without a name. So even your faith questions, even if you might feel like a little sheepish about it or like you're embarrassed to ask a question, there is no wrong question again. So put down whatever you would like to ask, and we would love to. Some of the faith questions that are on the worship notes get brought up on Wednesday nights in the large group for confirmation. That is one thing we do each week. These we are just going to have a part of we might send you an email or have a conversation with you at some point if you have a great question that you want to talk about. So, but I'm going to let you fill this out. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm going to go check in with my pizza volunteers. Tim, are you going to stay in here? Pastor Tim will be here if you have a question. You will find me in Fellowship Hall if there's something. Otherwise, have a fabulous summer. Come back and see us at worship, and I will make sure to let you know if there are events that you can come and participate in as an incoming 7th grader. Watch your email, and we'll be excited to welcome you in the fall. So watch for the registration link, the calendar link. I'll probably send you the tracking sheet too if you, we give those out, a hard copy in the fall, but if you start doing worship notes this summer and you want to have that, I'll send that to you as well, so you can print that out and have it at home, or you can keep track of it online. If you want to go digital, go for it. You get to do it your own way. Okay, let's have a quick closing prayer while you take a pause, and then you can finish writing. And the yellow sheets, why don't you just leave them up here on the front, and I'll gather them later, okay? God, you've created each one of these youth, and they are beautiful and wonderfully made in your image. We thank you for them as they think about and are excited and maybe a little nervous about the confirmation experience. We just ask that you walk with them in their faith, help them to grow each day, protect them, keep them safe and healthy, and help them to continue to wonder about you and your great world that you've given us. So thank you for these summer warm days. Help us to enjoy them and just to have a wonderful summer experience before we come back for confirmation in the fall. Thank you for these families, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay, thank you for being here. We'll talk to you soon.
And then let me just say, I'm Pastor Tim, if you don't know me. I went to worship music first, and I thought this one would go longer, and we got done earlier than them, so that's not bad at all. So that's why I missed most of the beginning of it. But if you have any questions, please contact either of us. Otherwise, I'll just be up here and write your things, right? Welcome.